Hello, and welcome back to the Closers Inner Circle podcast with your host, Denise Griffitts and Bengay the Third. Our topic today is from masterclass to marketplace, sales that stick. Now that we've wrapped up the sales infiltration masterclass series, we're turning our focus to broader high impact sales strategies that every professional should have in their toolkit. So whether you are a seasoned closer or just beginning to master the art of the sale, today's conversation is packed with timeless principles, actionable insights, and real world stories from the trenches. And those trenches are Ben's. He's been doing this a long time and he has some of the best stories, and they all have a sales component. So join us as we explore what it takes to sell with integrity, confidence, and consistent success in today's evolving marketplace. And if you missed any of the sales infiltration masterclass episodes, I believe there was 15 of them. Now is the time to go back and catch them. Each one is filled with powerful lessons that will help sharpen your skills and deepen your understanding of what it truly means to close like a pro. We're easy to find. Just go to yourpartnerinsuccessradio.com. You'll see Ben. You'll see Ben's pretty picture. You're going to see him every Wednesday. So, this episode, by the way, is proudly sponsored by David L. Brown. He is a trusted guide for small business owners seeking real results through personalized mentoring and strategic business planning. And if you're ready to build a stronger foundation and grow with confidence, David really is the mentor you want in your corner. I know him, Ben knows him. We have complete faith in him. And I'm speaking for you, Ben, but I know you do agree with me.
I do agree with you. David, I met David several years ago at a seminar series. I forget who it was, might have been Tony Rubalewski's.
It
But anyway,
was, yeah.
was it? Okay. The Anyway, I met him there, and he's one of those people you're just instantly impressed with and hooked on what he's talking about. A genuinely nice person. That struck me first. And then as we talked for a while, I thought, oh, he's not only nice, he knows what he's talking about, which is rare.
Yeah.
You don't see a whole lot of that in this business. Unfortunately, you hear people who wanted to get up on stage, so they figured out a way to do it, but they forgot to have something to talk about before they got there. Well, David Brown is not one of those people. He's really a neat guy and knows his business. Every time he pops up on Facebook talking about something, offering something, I always like it and put 3 thumbs up under it so people will know that he has my personal endorsement.
Mine too. He's a very, very dear friend, and that's not the reason he's a sponsor, but because he deserves to be a sponsor. But, just the fact that he's a friend to both of us kind of sweetens the pot as far as
Yeah,
I'm concerned. So, Ben, what are we talking about this week? And it's always good to hear your voice midweek. It's Wednesday.
thank you. Same to you. Uh, like usual, I've been taking notes and pulling things out of questions we were asked or just things I learned in the middle of a conversation. My ever-present yellow pad is there, and I reach over and write it down and put it in the Wednesday Denise Griffitts file.
Oh, I
So
have
I've
a
got,
file.
you have a file.
I am so impressed with myself.
Well,
Okay,
it's
keep going.
important. Yeah, it's important that you have a file somewhere.
Did you spell my name right?
I don't know. It's not important.
Ow.
It's under D for Denise, which is a good sign, by the way, that you're a friend. I don't file you under Griffith's last names, which is a big tip off for me with some of the people I deal with. But with you as Denise, your family,
Oh,
and
oh,
we appreciate that.
yeah.
So I got those notes, and I'll start off with the one I posted on Facebook in the last day or two. I listen for great lines to hop out of television commercials, the internet, magazines, newspapers, whatever, because there are those lines that can change a career if they become part of your arsenal. And this one is from a company called Signal Relief. I have nothing to do with them, don't know anybody who works there, is with them, or anything. I only know them from seeing their ads on talk television. But anyway, Signal Relief, and they show you the guy, it's a patch, and you put it on the area that hurts you, and apparently it's borderline miracle results. At least they have probably 12 people that say it is in any one commercial. But, now it comes down to how do you close them? How do you get them to dial the 800 number or go to the website or whatever? And so I was watching, I've seen it before, watching it and thinking about other things. And then it dawned on me what he says right at the near the end. The announcer says, and if I don't care what you're selling, write this down because there's a way with maybe a word change or two, you can do it. You can say it directly to the prospect. This guy on television says, if you're thinking about buying, it means you need one.
Ah, I'm writing this
In
down.
other,
Say it again. If you were
if
thinking,
you're thinking about buying, you've seen the commercial, you've seen the transformations, you've seen the little old lady and the young man and so on all say one guy says there wasn't a minute he wasn't in pain for 16 years. Put this on, problem solved. Um, so the guy says, if you're thinking about buying, it means you need one. I think of that in the automobile business. People generally don't go to car lots because they're lonely. They're thinking about changing their car immediately or soon, next 3, 4 months, whatever. But properly motivated, they'll do it today. And so if you're thinking about buying, it means you need one. And I've been caught a couple of times with things where I was asking some expert about something. And I said, well, I don't know if it applies to me. And the response usually is something along the lines of course it applies to you, or you wouldn't have been talking about it for the last 20 minutes.
right?
So,
And you just said something that I wrote down under, I wrote down what you said a minute ago, but then you said something I think is the crux of everything that you just mentioned, properly motivated.
yeah, yeah. People, that term comes into my vocabulary because I discovered in the multi-level marketing business when we were looking for a $2,500 or $5,000 investment. Today's money, that'd be 25,000 to 50,000. Everybody said they had to think about it, or they didn't have the money, or they'd have to get a loan, or whatever, what have you. And I, in the early days, thought, yeah, okay, I would feel the same way, and I'd let them go. And then one of my sponsors, a gentleman named Bill Dempsey, one of the great salespeople of all time, said, Ben, properly motivated, just about anyone can get just about any amount of money. And then he drove the point home. I won't bore you with it, and it's in borderline bad taste, but the gist of it was if I kidnapped young Ben and the only way you could get him back was to get the amount of money you just told me you couldn't get, could you get it? And I said, well, yeah. He said, see, properly motivated. And so then he went on, I'll get into the distasteful part just a little bit. He said, properly motivated, let's say that didn't work right off the bat. Then I mail you his thumb. Can
Well,
you
I'm
get it?
thinking about one of the Getty boys, wasn't it his ears or
Yeah,
something?
his ear.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right, right.
And that pushed me over the edge. I said, yeah, there's no amount of money I couldn't get properly motivated. Now, those may be extreme examples, but they're still true. So if you're thinking about buying, it means you need one. If you're standing here in my car lot, your car is not the one you want currently. You need to upgrade, change, whatever. So that would change product by product, service by service, but the message stays the same. You've already said um, what what you need by your mere presence or by this conversation. You came in here limping. You have a pain somewhere that you wish would go away. Uh, so since you're thinking about that, it means you need one. And it just clears away all sorts of, I got to think about it. I got to check with my brother-in-law. I got to talk to my husband or wife or what have you. It clears the fog of the I'll think it overs, etc. And Jim Rohn used to have several phrases along that way regarding money. Uh, he would say things to the effect of, uh, it doesn't cost too. I'm giving a poor imitation of Jim Rohn. It doesn't cost too much. You don't have the money.
Right. And every time you do that, I just lose it because I hear you're juxtaposed. I hear him and I hear you, and it's like an echo. It's the weirdest thing.
His favorite phrase for me, I used to listen to his stuff every day. I've got it memorized now, so I don't listen to it as much as I do used to, but I do from time to time just for enjoyment to listen to an old friend long gone talk. But he would ask questions rhetorically of the mysteries of life. Why do people do this? Why do people do that? And you think, and the first time I heard it, oh, now he's going to give me the answer to that. That's great. And his answer was, I don't know. That's one
Again,
of the
I can
great
hear
mysteries.
both of you.
Yeah,
I hear him in my right ear and I hear you in my left ear, and it collides in the middle of my brain.
yeah.
I can't
Why,
describe it. Maybe I need medication. I don't know.
why do they do that? I don't know.
Right. Right.
One of the great mysteries of life. So, if you got nothing else from this morning, I promise you, if you're thinking about buying, it means you need one is a killer sentence. I'm going to be using it. They Signal Relief may consider it stolen, and I'll
Relocated. We don't steal. We
yeah,
relocate.
yeah, I research things. They say if you read it in three places, it's not plagiarism, it's research.
Right.
So I've been researched a bunch through my career, and I've finally just given up. I'll mention occasionally that I said something, knowing that there are a lot of people who think it came from somewhere else, and that's fine. Uh, Someone said the other day, you occasionally take a little heat for saying that people buy from people they know, like, and trust, and with whom they feel safe. Didn't that come from? And there's somebody they always mention. I forget what his name is,
I'm
but
sure it's Bob Berg. I'm pretty sure it's Bob Berg.
okay. Um, I don't think I know
I
Bob
don't
Berg,
know.
but I
I don't
know
know.
of him.
Hmm.
I know his name. And I had to remind this person who thought they were calling me on something. One, I was saying that before, and I said, when did his book come out, or when did this, and so on and so on. And it turned out the first time I started using it preceded his book by 25 years.
All right.
So my conscience is clear. But I also said to this person, understand, when I came out of my mother's womb, I didn't know a single word. All I knew was to cry if I was hungry or something uncomfortable. And so everything I've learned and say and do since that moment, I learned from somebody else. So it's no shame. And if I know who it is, I give them credit. Somebody just came out with a book called You Become What You Think About, or something. That's almost what it says. And I thought, how do you do that? Surely to God, you know that that is The Strangest Secret by Earl Nightingale.
It is.
But yeah,
I didn't want to interrupt, but I was biting my tongue. I was waiting for you to do it.
yeah, how can you name a book that legally you can, because you can't trademark a book title, but you'd look smarter if you gave him credit. I always give credit to Earl Nightingale, for instance, and Dr. Napoleon Hill and Hog Mandino and all of my old buddies whenever I can, because it makes me look smarter. It doubles the impact of what I'm saying. A, I know it. It triples the impact. A, I know it. B, I know that Earl Nightingale said it. And three, it gives me an opportunity to tell you that one of your idols was a very good friend of mine and mentor.
And four, Ben, now you have gotten their audience interested.
Yeah,
And these
yeah,
people still have massive audiences.
yep, absolutely. Dr. Hill is enjoying a second life. He died 54, 55 years ago, and he's better known and more quoted today than he was in his prime. So he used to tell me that he said, Ben, what I've written, neither I nor what I've written will be long remembered. And I wish there was some way. I've occasionally in my prayers I'll say, Jesus, if by chance you see Dr. Hill tell him they're really quoting him down here.
Yeah,
You know,
I
he,
suspect he knows.
yeah,
Yeah.
he
Energy
was,
is not something that just dies. It doesn't go away. His energy is out there somewhere.
well, um, anyway, I quote him frequently because I want you to know I'm semi-intelligent. I read. I was good friends with Dr. Hill. I was telling somebody the other day, if I met you socially, we wouldn't be together 10 or 15 minutes till you knew that Dr. Napoleon Hill, Earl Nightingale, and Charlie Manson were all friends and or acquaintances. Acquaintance applying to Charlie Manson. We weren't
You're
friends.
not, I was going to say, not friends. Take him off of that list.
Yeah,
Be
we
careful there.
shared a cell for 9 hours. That doesn't make us friends. Uh, so anyway, I bring those, and then 10 minutes later, I'll drop in. Well, when I was attitude coach for the astronauts, Apollo 15, 16, 17, Jim Irwin, who drove the lunar rover on Apollo 15, first one to do it, said, one of the things he did say to me that was, I asked him one time, when you came around the moon the first time, or after you took off from the moon again and were heading home, in either case, they circled the moon and then you have what's called an Earthrise.
Right. That
Different,
photo, that
yeah,
famous
yeah, it
photo.
was taken by almost all the astronauts at one time or
Right.
another if they got to the moon. But that photo, all encompassing the edge of the moon and three-quarters of the Earth rising in this blackness and all. I said, what did, to Jim, who was a very religious guy after he left NASA, he started a organization called Operation High Flight. And among the things they were doing was looking for the original Noah's Ark. And I said to him one day, Jim, do you think that's a little out on the fringe? Uh, Maybe it was just an interesting biblical story, or maybe the ark in the last 2,000 years or whatever has disintegrated and isn't findable. I find that hard to believe. He said, you found me going to the moon hard to believe.
Uh-huh.
And I said, oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
Can
got
you
me there.
imagine what Elon Musk would say to something like that? Well, did you see our last launch?
Yeah. And
Yeah.
he's got that T-shirt on now. It says
Right.
inhabit Mars or something like that,
Exactly.
populate Mars. But
Yeah.
anyway, I said to Jim, when that picture or one like it was taken, I had a big one hanging in my office that one of the crews gave me. And I said, when that picture was taken, what crossed your mind? And I was thinking that I worked for 25 years to get there and I was a test pilot. And then I was, and it's all finally culminated. He said, Ben, I was struck by my total insignificance.
Oh,
And, in the grand scheme of things, this little ant riding in a tin
right.
can, circling a minor moon in around a minor planet in a medium-sized solar system in a average galaxy, really wasn't the most important thing in the world. And so it really put things in perspective. Sometimes if I'm facing a little problem, I think, well, in the grand scheme of things, this is nothing. So treat it like nothing. Do what you can and march on. So that's what reading and learning, like that little quote, if you're thinking about buying, it means you need one. You pick up those little jewels. I've told you I read Jimmy Carter's memoirs.
Right.
I wasn't a big fan of Jimmy Carter's, and his book sucked. But in his book,
So did his politics, apparently.
yeah, well,
Bless
I'm
his
from I'm
heart.
from Georgia, as the Atlanta Journal-Constitution said, either the day he was nominated or the day he was elected president. The headline on the editorial page was, God, what have we done?
Was it really?
Yeah, because
Oh,
they knew him also. But anyway,
he was a
buried
very
in,
nice man. I just don't think he
oh,
knew what the heck he was
absolutely.
doing. I mean,
Yep.
he gave away Panama for crying out loud. The
Yep.
Panama Canal, anyway.
Yep.
Let's not go down there. I was never a fan. I'm not a fan. I think he was a heck of a good man, and I'll just
Yep.
leave it right there.
Far better ex-president than president,
Right.
with Habitat for Humanity or whatever it's called, did wonderful things. But buried in his book was a thing that he heard and wrote down one day in the Plains Baptist Church, Plains, Georgia, for you folks who are not familiar with our geographics in the U.S. In the Plains Baptist Church, a minister said to him, to the congregation, if you were arrested today and charged with being a Christian, would there be enough evidence to convict you? Now, I read 400 or 500 pages. I don't know how the book is not handy. I've since given it away, but I read 400 or 500 pages, and that's the sentence I got that made it all worthwhile. And I've thought about it, used it, conducted myself according. If you were arrested and charged today with being an honest salesperson, would there be enough evidence to convict you? If you were arrested today and
Understood.
being a good father, would there be enough evidence to convict you? If you were arrested today and charged with being a good husband, would there be enough evidence? There's so many things that applies to, and it was all based on reading and note taking, and it can literally change your life. You and I swapped a Facebook something today. Oh, you sent out a list of recommended reading, and
On
and
LinkedIn this morning, I think. That was my
yeah,
newsletter.
and I said something to the effect of, "Well, now I know what my summer reading is," or and you said you and I have never had that problem.
We
That's
don't.
true.
We
I'm
don't.
always people say, "What book are you reading now?" And I said, "Well, on in which pile?
In
I
what
have
room?
in
Yeah,
what
that's
room?"
yeah.
Yeah. And thank God for bookmarks. If I didn't have my Ben Gay bookmarks, I'd spend most of my time looking for where I was in that book. But every book that's on the top of the stack has a ballpoint pen attached, a yellow highlighter attached, and a bookmark where I was the last time I read it. And I always put the bookmark, oh, when you open the book and there's the bookmark, I haven't read the page to the left or right, or I've read far enough down in the left where I was able to put a mark and say, you got to this page. And rather than leave half a paragraph, you marked it. So I opened it up, bang, I know right where to start. Don't waste any time looking for it. But that's where so many of the things I know come from. Earl used to say, Earl Nightingale, to name drop again, Earl used to say, if you have a secret that you don't want anyone in the world to know, write about it in a book and put a copy of the book in every library on earth, and your secret will be safe.
That's just sad. And I have to tell you, you just reminded me about a year ago, I could not find my debit card. It was no, it wasn't in the car. It wasn't in my wallet. It wasn't underneath the couch cushions. It was no, the cat hadn't eaten it. It was nowhere. I could not find it. I panicked. I shut it down, got a new one. 3 or 4 months later, I picked up The Closer's Part One, which is a book I don't go into very much because we're working on part two. And I went, well, son of a biscuit. There it was. It
There
was
was
in,
as a bookmark.
it's still in there. It's no good. So I'm keeping it. It's a dead card. It's still in there.
Well, uh, I hope in all that there were some nuggets. Another sales thing. Uh,
Oh,
Several
there was
people.
because I remember, and we didn't exactly talk about this Closers Part One because we haven't yet. We've got a ways to go before we make it, if we ever make it all the way through Part Two. But I remember there was, and I couldn't tell you what it was now, but I remember referencing it during one of our conversations. So
I
apparently
missed
it
the
was
first part of
critical.
that sentence.
Well, I remember referencing, dang it, talking about it in one
Ah,
of our conversations a long time ago, a couple years ago. So whatever it was important at the time. Don't ask me what it was now, and I don't feel like going to look at my dead card, but you know, poor thing. And it's not even the same bank. The bank changed hands, so it's been a while. But yeah, I
we,
remember you and I talking about it.
well, you and I have talked about the closers part two, which is for those of our listeners, the closers. There's a whole series of closers books, and it's getting bigger by the I started to say by the moment, but certainly by the month. One of which is the closers part four, which is Denise Griffitts teaching us all about podcasting, how to do it, uh, how to get into it, how to get
Right.
started, how to stay fresh. Everything you need to know about podcasting is going to be in the Closers Part 4. I've read pieces of it. It is wonderful.
Thank
Well,
you.
for those of you who are listening in and maybe don't know about one, two, three, four, five, etc., the Closers Part 1, which is the foundation of the series. If there weren't Part 1, there wouldn't be a Part 2, etc. I wouldn't have gotten involved in all of that. But the Closers Part 1 is the kicks, the blocks, and the punches, the red raw meat of selling. Not selling the way we wish it was, but selling the way it is and what's really going on. It's like when you take your kids to Taekwondo or karate or whatever, what the kids want to do is learn how to kill somebody. So they give you enough of that so you have the background, but then they teach you how not to fight. Uh, Danny Omega, who taught three of my kids Taekwondo, said, if I ever see you in a fight, I will kick your ass
Ooh,
because I'm teaching you how not to fight,
right.
which will mean it's like being the biggest, baddest nuclear power on earth. And no one wants to mess with you because they will blow up their country if they do. Uh, so it's peace through strength. Have the strongest military in the world, and you don't ever have to use it
Mm-hmm.
if you convince people that's there. Closers Part 1 is sort of that. It gives you all the stuff about um, selling rough and I was looking through it the other day for something someone had asked me about, and I thought, ooh, I wouldn't write that today. But it turned out what I wrote wasn't wrong. It was inarticulatively, that if that's a word, explained. It was a little rough and ragged around the edges, which brings me to Closers Part 2, which picks up where one leaves off and teaches you what sophisticated people really do with that information. And it's not getting a fist fight with a client fighting over his wallet. And then from then on, Part 3 takes you inside an actual uh, sales event. 4 will do podcasting. 5 is on real estate and on down the line. We have 6, 7, and 8 lined up in various forms. I advise you to get them all, but I just want to have an explanation for you that people say, well, if I read one, do I need them all? Some of the specialty books you might not need if you're in real estate. For if you're not in real estate, for instance, Part 5 would probably be a waste of your time, except for general sales tactics. And then there's a sleeper book in there. It doesn't have a number. It's The Art and Science of Resort Sales. It was written for the timeshare business. I wrote it with a guy who's one of the top timeshare people of all time. And it's a wonderful book. And I've never didn't used to recommend it to anyone that wasn't in timeshare. And then your customers sometimes teach you. People began talking about it. It's a great book, and I learned so much. I said, "What do you sell?" "Oh, cars." That's for timeshare and resort membership and so on. He said, "Yeah, I know, but I'm telling you, it's a wonderful book." So sometimes they take off on their own, and then Sales Closing Power is in that group. That's a book I wrote for J. Douglas Edwards after he died
Right. I
from
have
his
it.
material. Yeah, from his material and his seminars. Some of it's just transcribed what he taught me, but he never got around to writing a book. So we sort of filled in that hole. So there's a whole bunch of stuff people are forever saying, I'd give anything to know what you know about selling. I got good news. About $100 will do it. Um,
And free if you're listening to us over here.
yeah, and that sort of comes under the heading of I'll give anything I have. I started to mention tire kickers. For some reason, this came up this week. So, and again, applicable to almost all areas of selling when you run into somebody who's just looking or they got to think it over. For some reason, working with automobile salespeople and sales trainers, it came up how they hate tire kickers. Those people come on the lot, wander around, and I'm sure I've done it too. You don't want to maybe even touch the car out of good manners, but everybody feels free to kick the tires. I don't know what you think you're going to accomplish with that. Maybe you're just checking to make sure they're not going to explode upon impact with the street. But they were whining about tire kickers and what a waste of time they are and so on. And I had to point out to them joyfully that they didn't understand what a tire kicker was. A tire kicker is a person who's going to buy a car. They got there in a car. They already own a car. They're going to buy more cars before they die. I was adding up my uh, personal car purchases the other day, and I'm sure I missed a few along the way. But if picture me on their car lot kicking a tire, I have bought 15 or 20 automobiles, as best I can figure, for my own personal use before I got to your car lot today. And with a little luck, I'll probably buy another 15 or 20, certainly 15, before I croak. So you missed the first 15 or 20 because you weren't in the business or you weren't good enough to close me. And you're going to, with that attitude, you're going to miss the next 10, 15, or 20 that I'm also going to buy. People say, well, they're just tire kickers. They're not buyers. How did they get to your car lot? Well, they drove up in this, oh, aha. So there was somebody who realized they weren't just a tire kicker and sold them that car. And how old were they? 35, 30-ish. How many do you think they bought before then? And then they don't know, but they guess 6, 7, 8. So there are 6, 7, 8, or now 9 salespeople who've sold them a car, but you're not going to because you prejudged them. You said they're tire kickers. And then the real joke, and you and I have talked about this numerous times, is if they're looking at me and I'm in casual attire and I'm here in Placerville, California, we have 4 or 5 car dealerships close, either in town or close. It may not appear to you that I've already bought or leased over 600 luxury automobiles, mainly to give away Lincolns, Cadillacs, Rolls Royces, Stutz Bearcats, uh, Thunderbirds, etc. Over 600 luxury cars. And, well, that was in the past, true, but they were all bought from 2 people, about 300 from one person. Then when he sold his dealership, moved on 300 from the next person who either they maybe even thought I was a tire kicker, who knows? But at least 2 people saw through that, and each of them sold me 300 cars. Back before I had any money at all and was looking for the cheapest thing that would run, I bought 10, 15 of those from somebody who regarded me as more than a tire kicker. And then since that time, again, for my personal use, another 15 or 20. Uh, some of those double over into the 600 figure. Cadillac for my own use, a Corvette for my own use, or this or that,
Right.
or so on. But it still totals 600 cars sold me by people who are smarter than those who label people tire kickers, forgetting that they got there in a car. They're going to
Right.
leave in a
In a
car.
car. And maybe they might leave with both of them. And you just reminded me many, many years ago, my grandmother had passed away. And my grandfather, sweetest man in the world, but he came across as a bit simple, like
Mhm.
farmer
Yep.
type simple. He was not. He wasn't simple, but that's how he came across. And he was driving a Carmen Ghia that he had owned since it was brand spanking new.
I
And it was
remember
time for,
those.
yeah, I was supposed to get it and I didn't go get it and he sold it and I cried. My fault. But anyway, he was in Arkansas, I was in Louisiana. It didn't work out. But he got my dog. That's another story. But he needed a pickup truck because I had promised him that if he got himself a piece of ground with a house, not an apartment and not a Carmen Gia, that he could have my dog happy. She was a purebred pit bull and they loved each other. I was thinking I was safe. He bought a house, he bought 5 acres, and he hauled me to go buy him a little pickup truck, pick him up truck. And I had done my homework. I may look cute and pretty, but I'm not stupid. We get in there, and this guy saw an older farmer type man and a female that probably didn't know anything. Two mistakes there. And he was going to sell us the truck that my grandfather really didn't want, but it had all the bells and whistles. He didn't need them. And I had already priced everything from the other dealerships around. So I said, listen, we're going to go get a hamburger and we'll think about it. I had no intention of bringing my grandfather back there. So we went to another dealership and I explained what happened. And I said, don't treat us like that. My grandfather got the car he wanted. And when they said, how do you want to finance this? He said, well, can't I just write a check? Well, yes, he could. By golly, he could. So I did, and I don't even remember Pretty Woman was a thing back then. It must have been because I said, let's go out to the other one. We drove over there and I did my Pretty Woman thing. Big mistake, huge mistake. And then off we went. And that guy just looked at us like, "Oh, what the heck just happened?" Well, you treated us like crap, is what happened.
Hmm.
And we caught you at it.
That's you talk because of the business you're in and the type of person you are. You talk about that openly. But if people have been in the car business any length of time, that's happened to them dozens, if not hundreds of times, and the customer just didn't bother to come back and tell them why.
Oh, I had
You
to.
know, they're still wondering
Yeah.
what
No, no.
happened.
I wanted him to know and I wanted to see his face. I'm a mean girl. If anybody doesn't know this already, now you know.
Make a note, folks.
Right?
She just told you, don't come crying to me.
No. But it was just the way he was treating my grandfather. I mean, I'm pretty sure I left with clenched fists. Both my hands were clenched and sore. When we got in the car, I was so angry. And I never said a word. It wasn't my sale. It was his. It was my grandfather's sale, but I said, let's go have a hamburger. And then we went somewhere else and he got exactly what he wanted and it was respectful. That's all he needed.
That's what people, and they want to buy from people they know, like, trust, and with whom they feel safe.
Exactly. Exactly.
It's pretty simple concept. Sell a quality product that's competitively priced. Spend your day talking to people who are qualified to buy it, not prejudged, qualified to buy it. You'll discover that somewhere along the way. Don't be fooled by the tailor-made $49 suit they're wearing and other trappings, good or bad. I told you I was downtown on Main Street in Placerville, California one day, and a guy came by, obviously homeless. And I said, "Hey, how you doing?" I talked to everybody. And he said, "I'm doing fine." And we chatted for a minute. Lovely day. I was standing on the street because Gigi was inside a store looking at stuff. And as he walked away, he said to me, "Hang in there, bud. I'm homeless too."
Oh,
when,
what were
when,
you wearing?
yeah, when Gigi came out, I said, "Honey, I think I got to work on my wardrobe just a little bit. I
No
don't
more
take,
going to Salvation Army. Let's go to a real store.
yeah, I don't, forbidden. That was part of the deal in marrying her. No local clients, no speeches within 50 miles of home, et cetera, et cetera. So I've taken advantage of that, and I don't have to dress to impress anybody. I'm not going to bump into a client. It just almost doesn't make any difference at all. And But when the guy said, "Hang in there, bud, I'm homeless too,"
Oh,
I knew that maybe the jeans without the holes in the knees might be a good idea, just for a starter.
and now, of course, when you leave, when you're going outside, it's showtime.
That's
So
right.
it's a whole
Well, I learned
different
that
attitude.
in the way I carry myself and so on. Guy came up to me not too long ago, a year or so ago, who I've known. He's one of those people you know because you know him, but we weren't buddies or anything. But he came over. Gigi and I are talking at a side table, and he says, "Ben, pardon me for interrupting. The guy over here has a question, and since you're a lawyer, I thought I'd ask you." And I said, "I don't, you could call me many things that would not offend me. Lawyer is not in that category. What have I done to make you believe I'm a lawyer. And he jumped back and, you're not a lawyer? And I said, no. He said, well, the way you carry yourself and the way you speak and so on, I just assumed. And so I said to Gigi, I guess I don't have to upgrade my wardrobe after all. I'm doing fine. They think I'm an attorney worthy of checking with to get opinions. But that's its attitude. Uh,
Yeah, I agree.
yeah, you talked about your grandfather who was a simple person. I think it was your grandfather moments
Yeah, it
ago.
was my grandpa.
One of the wisest men I ever met, long gone, was a guy named J. Maxwell. And we had 10 acres sort of out in the country, and he owned the plot next to it. He was a pig farmer, third grade education, went into the military and was the brunt of lots of jokes and practical jokes and so on, because the things people would say or do to him, it was good natured. He didn't mind it. But the point was, we have a guy here who doesn't know anything. So let's do this and say this to him and so on. That, for instance, his uncles used to bet with him on sports games right after delayed taping came out, so when they bet that Atlanta would beat whoever by 8 points, that was because it wasn't a good guess. It was they'd already seen the game.
That's cheating.
Yeah, of course it is. But if it's your brother or your brother-in-law and you're having a good
That's even
time,
worse. In my family, somebody would hit you with a chair if they found out.
well, that's also possible. I didn't say he didn't strike back. I'm just
Oh,
saying
good.
it wasn't meant meanly, nor was he being mean when he hit him with a chair or an axe handle or whatever.
Oh my God.
But but he used to laugh about it. He said, "My brothers, they make fun of me." But the whole point of the story is Jay Maxwell was one of the wisest people I've ever met. He sort of turned me on to listen to people who work with their hands, listen to people who are farmers, growers, ranchers, because every day they see how life really works, not with a turtleneck sweater you got out of some magazine somewhere and your styled hair and so on. They know the way life works, and they can hose off and look pretty good, but most of them don't care about that. They care about being decent, good human beings.
Hmm.
And Jay was one of those. It was about a mile long dirt road that left the highway and went back to our two properties, Jay's and mine. And when I'd see Jay out doing something in his side area, my heart was happy because I was going to have an excuse to stop and talk to Jay Maxwell, a third grade dropout pig farmer who would be walked past by 90% of the people. I've never seen him clean. I never saw him dressed up to go somewhere. He always looked like, I'm not sure he ever changed his pants. I mean, as I'm talking, I can picture Jay, overalls, plaid shirt, everything faded, everything with some dirt on it. And dirt, I'm being kind, there was probably a lot of pig droppings on it. But when I stopped to talk to him, invariably he would drop some knowledge bomb, wisdom bomb on me that I hadn't thought about before. And I still miss him. He's been gone for years. We haven't lived on that property for years, but I still miss him. So like a tire kicker or a person with a sore foot who needs his pain relieved, look through that, uh, listeners, friends, look through that and find the real person, because some of the wisest people on earth are wandering around and you would never know. Never. Speaking
Exactly.
of that,
And you said some, and I have to interrupt because this is
uh-huh,
important. You were saying that, your heart would get happy when you would see him.
mhm,
But you also indicated in the same breath he's a very busy person. He was always busy with his hands, building, doing something.
yep,
But what you didn't say was he dropped everything and took the time to be with you,
over to the
talk with
fence
you.
like a shot. All I had to do was start to
Right,
slow down,
right.
and boom, he was right up against his barbed wire fence.
And how many people are going to do that?
Not many.
I know.
I hadn't really thought about that, but that's true. Not many. I drive past people all the time in our neighborhood, and they either don't wave at all or wave. No one runs to the corner of their yard to talk to me. Thank God.
No.
But in
Same here.
Jay's case, I would have had my feelings hurt if he looked up, waved, and gone back to what he was doing.
But
Uh,
that's not who he was, and he
no,
showed you who he was at heart.
right, absolutely. So become that person. I'm forever being asked about people who buying from people they know, like, and trust, and so on. And then the follow-up question that frequently is, well, how do they know that? And the follow-up answer is become a person of class, quality, and substance with the ability to tastefully project that. You don't go, hi, I'm Ben Gay. I'm a person of class, quality, and substance. Conduct yourself as if you are. Know that if you're out of your own bedroom, certainly out of your front door, you're on stage. People are making judgments. Most of them don't make any difference, but they know somebody. And maybe if they decided you're an arrogant jackass, they might know somebody who could affect your life, even if they one on one couldn't. And what's the harm in being a decent human being anyway? If you're in selling, if nothing else, it's great practice.
Well, and it's not a persona that you just put on, put off like you're an actor.
No,
You
no.
have to show up as you. This is who you are. In your case, this is who you have always been,
Oh, well,
mostly.
after I got into my,
I'm thinking one or two things. Okay, never mind. This is who you, you have always I mean, but you intrinsically you have not changed. Your personality and your character and your morals are what they've always been.
yeah, I was telling somebody one time within earshot of my mother and father that I had been elected wittiest in my high school class, Murphy High School in Atlanta, Georgia, class of 1960. And I said I was elected wittiest, so it's not a surprise that I did things that required a personality. And either mother or dad, somebody said, you went right to wittiest. You skipped over the fact you were thrown out of high school twice before that.
That's what I was thinking about.
Yeah, I
And
said,
didn't
well,
they want
that
you to go to military school at one time? And you you were a little bit of a brat there
they
for a
thought I
while.
needed a little closer supervision
Yeah.
than I was getting in the public high school. And the
Uh,
public high school was thrilled to see me go.
oh, listen, when I left high school, my sister was a year behind me, and she did what Ben Gay says, if you've got an objection, bring it up. And she walked into each class that I had been in, introduced herself, and she said, I want you to know I'm not her. I'm nothing like her.
Yeah, same last name. Don't be fooled.
And I heard that. I said, why did you do that? She said, have you met yourself? Okay, never mind. Yeah, I hated school and everybody knew it.
When Gigi and I got married, first sort of acquainted and then fell in love and got married. Her father had been a county supervisor here and a very successful real estate agent and developer and so on. So the Ronzonis were well known. Her mother had been gotten the tag, the Queen of Placerville, based on her kindness and good looks. And Gigi is occasionally referred to as the Queen of Placerville now, although it's grown and spread out, and we don't necessarily, she doesn't necessarily know every person that we bump into. When I first got with her, you walk into a store, you hear Gigi, and I go, well, there goes 40 minutes
Oh,
while we
tire kickers.
yeah, while we reconnect. But anyway,
Yeah.
I thought the name, I was unknown in town, and no one was chasing me around asking for autographs. And so I thought, well, I'll ingratiate myself to this crowd by telling them as I meet them that I married into the Ronzoni family. I'm thinking her beautiful mother and her very successful father. I didn't know that even better known were her two brothers, who were great people, both gone now, great people, but pretty good drinkers and fighters in bars. And I would say to somebody, I married in the Ronzoni family, and about half the time they would step back a foot from the counter away from me, like, oh my God, he just warned me, now he's going to punch me.
Oh
And I said, no, no,
no.
no. I married into the good side of the Ronzoni family.
Oh, that didn't make it any better. 'Cause now
Uh,
you've pitted
David
them against
Ronzoni,
each other.
David Ronzoni, who just, well, not just, July 4th, a year ago passed, is the one I quote frequently. I asked him one day, he was known for catching fish, and he would have to take a friend or two with him so that their fishing licenses would cover the fish he caught on his license and two other people. They were free to fish, but they just didn't do it like David did. So
Mm.
one day, I'm not a fisherman, I don't care. I've only done it for social outings. But one day I asked David, not knowing I was going to get a great sales lesson in response. I said, David, how do you catch so many fish? We have a picture down in the dining room of him squatted down in the grass. Must have been 50 fish around him laid out on the grass, which required at least two other friends and their licenses. So I said, how do you catch so many fish? He said, oh, it's simple. I go where the fish are.
Right, you told me that story,
Yeah.
and it resonates because it's true.
And his dad, Gigi's dad, used I only met him briefly once and didn't understand who I was meeting, uh, and what he would be in my life. But he used to tell Gigi, because she was amazed how much the brothers, Dave in particular, could catch. And she says, how do they do that? And he said, they think like fish.
It's I don't know how you think like a fish, but it does make perfect sense. It
Yeah,
really does.
when you're a good salesperson, you think like a customer. If I
Right.
walk into a car dealership, how would I want to be, if I was selling in a car dealership, how would I want to be treated if I walked in the door? Do it, do that. Treat treat them fairly, squarely, decently, by the rules. Become the person they know, like, trust, and feel safe with. Become a person of class, quality, and substance with the ability to project it. People say, how'd you become the number one salesperson everywhere you've ever been? That's exactly how. I just laid it out for you in 3 paragraphs. That's exactly how I did it. Awkwardly in the beginning, better as I went along. Probably faking it a little bit in the beginning, more sincere as I
Probably,
went. Huh?
probably, probably.
Yeah.
Now you've told me some stories, so you want to back that one up just a bit?
Well, we're discussing when I was selling hairspray to a large grocery
Yes,
chain.
there's that one.
Get
Yeah, that
Sybil
that
on
could
the
be one
phone.
of them. Get Sybil. I love Sybil. I'm telling you, if I ever find another female or a female cat finds me, because I don't go looking for them, they always come to my door and knock. Her name is Sybil. She doesn't know it, but her name is Sybil.
There's a breed. It's like my redheaded friends. There's a breed of redheaded friends. I comment on it every time I meet a new person who has beautiful red hair. I say, you and I are going to have trouble. And they say, why? Well, I've had trouble with every redhead I've ever met, starting with Suella Harris, lived next door to me growing up, who used to beat me up once a day just for exercise to warm up before she went out into the neighborhood. And then I start naming them, this one, this one, this one. And then right across the street from us now is a beautiful, prettiest red hair I've ever seen. It's that auburn reddish hair. Her name is Harper. The way I remember that is Harper Valley PTA, which she'd never
Mm.
heard of, nor had her mother ever heard of it, which meant we had a little age difference. I guess it was a hit before either one of them were born. But I said, I'll never forget the name Harper. But I said, you and I have problems. And she said, what, Mr. Gay? I said, you're redhead. I haven't had a lot of luck with redheaded people. Promise me you won't beat me up. So that's
So
one of
you
those.
scared her straight out of the sh Now she doesn't,
Yeah.
she probably sees you and says, should I or shouldn't I? Yeah.
Yeah.
You gave her permission to punch you in the nose.
Well, anyway, she's a wonderful young lady, and but
Oh.
she is redheaded, so I have to take a. And we have dear redheaded friends, including a nurse, or used to be a nurse, who talk about being redheaded, and they say there is a difference. One lady worked in the emergency room for 10 years or something. She said there's nothing worse than seeing a person with an open artery being wheeled in, except a lady being wheeled in with red hair, and she's
Why?
redheaded. There's something different. I know this sounds racist, sexist, or something. And redheads will tell you there's something different chemically
They're
about
wired.
redheaded people.
I've read that they're wired differently, and people say, "Oh,
Yep.
they're going to throw a fit." I don't know if that's true, but I think redheads are gorgeous, especially if they've
Oh,
got the milky in freckles. I think they're so beautiful. I
yeah.
just gaze at them.
I used to think of
But
that
there's
with
something about
Suella
me. I'm like, I'm not going to step in front of that person. Nope, nope, nope. I don't know why. I'm just wary.
it's probably history.
Maybe.
So you just described Suella Harris. Beautiful red hair, pretty girl, captain of the cheerleaders, made my little sister the mascot of the Murphy High School cheerleading squad. I think nothing but good things about her, except she beat me up several times a week. We'd build a fort, and the fort, forts were big, dig a little hole, get some cardboard boxes, twigs to put across the top, straw, pine straw on top of that. And you thought the adults didn't know where you were unless they looked out the window of the house and saw the fort. But other than that, we thought we were hidden away. And all of our official forts had bricks around the perimeter, and the bricks belonged to Suella Harris. And when one of us did something bad, she loaded the bricks in a wheelbarrow and took them home, and that was the end of the fort because she said we couldn't have an official fort without her bricks. So
So she
that's
wasn't a bully. She had leadership qualities.
all of the above. If leadership didn't work, she beat the hell out of you. Either one.
I like her. Well, listen, I hate to say this, we are running out of time. Where can people get the closers, parts one and part two with free shipping before I reluctantly let you go?
The books that we just talked about are all available at stores.ebay.com/ all one word, Ronzoni Books, RONZONEBOOKS. Order by 2 o'clock in the afternoon. They go out that day, signed, dated with an unconditional lifetime money back guarantee. And there's other used books you'll probably stumble across there from other people. We're not guaranteeing those because I think I told you the other day we got a complaint that somebody said they bought a book from us with a piece of bubble gum stuck between page number so and so and so and so. Well, I don't chew gum and I sign every book. So it didn't leave here with bubble gum in it. Well, it turned out they bought a used book from somebody else. All the guarantees and wonderful quick shipping and so on that I talk about is if you buy from Ronzoni Books, special pricing, lifetime unconditional, no questions asked, money back guarantee.
Got it. Well, listen, everybody, Mike, we love to hear from you. We love to hear, your questions from you. So my question to our audience today is this: what sales strategy or technique has made the biggest impact on your business this year? So do us a favor, share your thoughts in the comments or send us a message. You can find us on LinkedIn as the best place, and we will do our best to feature your insight in an upcoming episode. So thank you for spending time with us today on the Closers Inner Circle podcast. We will see you next week with more strategies, stories, and straight talk to help you close with confidence. Ben, thank you. I will see you next Wednesday.
Super. Look forward to it.
Me too. Bye.